Lawmakers provide property tax relief on a double-digit rate increase. Thank you for joining us. I'm Darren Perrin.
And I'm Kat Villanzoni. This week brought a fresh batch of school budget votes with mixed results. 12 school budgets were decided yesterday. 7 failed, 5 passed. Channel 3 political reporter Calvin Cutler is live at the State House now, continuing our coverage of school budgets and soaring property taxes.
Calvin, there's just over a week left in the session. What more can lawmakers do?
Yeah, good evening, Darren and Kat. It still really remains to be seen of whether Senate lawmakers will propose new taxes to potentially buy down that double-digit rate increase in property taxes, or if Governor Phil Scott has his way, using surpluses from some state programs in the general fund to provide relief. Now, the yield bill, which sets the statewide property tax rate and funds school budgets, is currently in the Senate. It remains to be seen exactly what Senate lawmakers will do, but Governor Phil Scott, in a letter to lawmakers today, says that he wants to use surpluses in certain programs in the state budget and divert some of those to help buy down property taxes in the education fund. He says without doing something this year, Vermonters' bottom line will suffer.
Vermonters are hurting. They don't know how they're going to pay those property taxes. And at this point, they're not seeing much relief. And I believe there's a path to giving them that relief.
However, Governor Scott says state lawmakers need to begin systemic education funding reform this year. Now, the yield bill passed by the House would create an 18-month-long study committee and would raise taxes on business software and on short-term rentals to buy down the rate. As it stands now, homestead property taxes would rise about 15%, and non-homestead taxes covering businesses and renters would rise 18.5%. Now, we're going to continue to keep an eye on this session, on this bill and on this issue as it evolves through the final week or so of the legislative session, and to see whether it ends up keeping lawmakers here in overtime next week. Darren, Kat.
So, Calvin, yesterday the Senate shot down the confirmation of Education Secretary Zoe Saunders. Governor Scott then named her as interim secretary. What are the next steps here?
Yeah, Kat. So Governor Scott defended his decision today to name her interim secretary, and he says that he has a constitutional responsibility to fill vacancies. But the governor has not said what he will do next, and he says he's still deciding whether he'll reappoint Saunders in a permanent capacity or direct the Board of Education to reopen the search process for a permanent secretary. Now, he says it's important that the Agency of Education have someone at the helm to provide stability. Now, the governor also decried what he called a partisan political hit job against his administration, and he pointed the finger at groups like the Vermont NEA, the statewide teachers union, for raising the temperature on this issue. Kat?
Political